I'm Mary Berry, and in this series I'll be celebrating the very best of my everyday cooking. Day-to-day cooking needn't be mundane. Even the simplest recipes can be a joy. I want to show you easy ways to transform dishes into something really special. From my indulgent and delicious ideas, it's sheer heaven on a plate, to recipes that stir fond memories.
Welcome home, Mary.
I'm here to stay. And my surprisingly easy showstoppers for when you really want to show off.
How about that then?
In this programme, the everyday dishes I love to whip up into fabulous crowd pleasers.
How about sorbet? I think we've got enough for everyone.
To me, there's nothing more enjoyable than sharing our garden with everyone in the village. Today, our local church are having an event in the garden, and there are loads of helping hands making cakes, tarts and scones.
So, Alex, where would you like me to put them?
Oh, you can just put them here, please.
Think through.
Lovely.
Right.
Yeah.
Lovely and fresh.
It's wonderful to see everybody tucking in.
That was very good.
I've so many exciting recipes to feed a crowd, though perhaps not quite as big as this one. Here's my very own version of one we all love to share. A little something that's perfect to get them in the mood. A fruity number that gets plenty of oohs and ahs. And a cheesecake elevated to the spectacular. But first, a rich, mouth-watering stew I've served up to hungry hordes for many a year. I've always been a fan of food that's easy to make for a crowd, so I'm making a timeless classic, beef and ale stew, and this one is really special. Good quality braising beef makes all the difference.
And I'm going to fry it, first of all, until it's a gorgeous golden brown colour. Because I have got it hot, I know it's making an awful noise and an awful lot of spitting, but this is just what I want. Give it a turn, it's browning beautifully quickly.
Once all the meat is beautifully browned, keep the same pan to fry off the vegetables.
I'll have to have just a little drop more.
Pickling onions or small shallots go perfectly.
In they go.
Then it's 2 carrots and 200 grams of little button mushrooms.
And I've left the stalk on, they're nice and small. I love making stews. You can always do them ahead. It really is a winner.
Now for the star ingredient, this wonderful ale.
That's what's giving it the flavour. I'm going to use a whole bottle, that's 500 ml.
My secret to make a smooth, velvety stew is to slowly whisk 50 grams of flour with the ale.
If you sprinkle the meat with flour, often it gets in the crevices and doesn't really thicken it well. Whereas if you do it this way, every little grain of flour is used to thicken the casserole. Don't worry, all the bubbles will go. So pour it in all at once.
In goes 150 ml of beef stock, and then for a full flavour, some rich onion marmalade.
Now I've got to add the meat back into there.
Finally, a splash of Worcester sauce, seasoning and a few bay leaves.
Now this is a really gorgeous golden brown colour. My grandmother, I just remember her in the kitchen, and she would take an old spoon and she'd put a little sugar on it and hold it over a naked flame and just watch it bubble to a dark caramel. She would then stir it in with the liquid and it would add a lovely golden brown. Well, mine's a lovely colour, so I'm not doing anything to it.
So that's ready for a long, slow cook, 2.5 hours at 140 fan, until the meat is soft and tender. What livens up a stew more than dumplings? Not just plain round dumplings, but spiral dumplings with a wonderful flavour of parsley and horseradish. This is a light dough made with suet and self-raising flour, and it's good to remember a wet dough is a lighter dough. All these things will give you fluffy dumplings.
Just like scones, it doesn't need a lot of kneading. Feels a nice wet dough. Look, it's sticking to my fingers. I know that's a good dough.
To make the spiral, the trick is to roll it out on a non-stick sheet.
Then roll that out into an oblong. So imagine we're going to do a Swiss roll.
And to make them really flavoursome, I'm using lashings of hot horseradish
What goes better than beef than horseradish?
and fresh parsley.
Not only does the parsley add to the flavour, you can imagine in the spirals you get a green layer, which is lovely, rather like a Catherine wheel. And just like when you're doing a roulade, let the paper do the work and then make a tight roll in the middle. Can you see? I'm tucking that in.
For perfect results, firm it up in the fridge before you slice it into even spirals.
The stew has had its time. Let's see how it is. And I might say it's quite a weight.
Give the dumplings plenty of space on top of the stew so they can spread as they cook. And then back in the oven, lid off, for 25 minutes with the temperature up to 200 fan.
Looks pretty good to me. That's just what I wanted. I promised you that they would spread out. They've got a lovely crispy brown top.
So there it is, an everyday favourite transformed into a hearty crowd pleaser.
It's a perfect dish. I love having people round, but the first rule is make it simple, be organised, and get as much as you can done ahead.
My next recipe is the perfect thing for a sharing platter. A heavenly dip that's blissfully easy to make.
So all I'm going to do is put all those ingredients into a processor, season it, have a little taste, and it's done.
The only thing that's low fat in this is 200 grams of light mayonnaise. The rest is jolly rich, starting with 150 grams of sour cream.
Then I've got cheddar cheese grated, and it's a really nice mature one.
In goes 100 grams of that, and for a really full flavour, 25 grams of grated parmesan.
I'll only need a quarter of an onion, and then just sort of cut it up roughly. In goes the onion.
I love onion and garlic together, so I'm adding a couple of cloves into the mix.
And all that remains is for me to add the artichokes. Now, I have strained those. You've got the sort of the base of the artichoke here and just a little bit of the leaf. In France, it's called the fond. All of that will go into a puree and give it a flavour, and just put them in all at once. All the ingredients are in there. Yes, it is a bit rich, but we're serving it with crudités, raw vegetables, so they're very good for you.
Don't forget a little pepper and salt, then whiz it into a fine puree.
Like magic, it's done. It's really scrumptious.
I'm serving this alongside quail's eggs, marinated prawns, and beetroot hummus.
I'm going to let everybody enjoy that now, so I'll take it down.
This artichoke dip is a huge hit with friends and family. Sometimes it's the simple pleasures we all love most, and there's one sharing plate that never fails to please. I've called for my first ever pizza delivery in the form of brothers James and Tom from Dorset, who love it so much that they went all the way to Naples to discover the secret of the very best pizza in the world.
Hello.
Hello, now it's Tom and James.
James.
I've got a big confession, I've never had a home delivery of a pizza. I've made lots of my children in my time, but I have never had a delivery.
Well, we're slow getting here, but we're quick once the oven's on, I promise.
I was expecting 2 Italians.
We did a pizza pilgrimage through Italy, in fact. We bought this van just over the water from Sicily, and we drove it back from Italy. We budgeted 1 week to do that, and it took 6, because the lovely van, as great as she is, she has a top speed of 18 miles an hour.
And where does the best pizza come from?
Well, it comes from 1/3 of the way up, Naples.
Right.
We didn't even need to do the rest of the trip. Once we landed in Naples and we tasted this pizza, it was a no-brainer.
So what's so special about a Neapolitan pizza?
In Naples, it's all about the dough.
This is the dough,
Right.
and if you have a feel of that, it's really soft. And that's just 4 ingredients. That's 0-0 flour, water, salt, and fresh baker's yeast.
The key to it is to allow a long groove to really develop the flavour.
Right.
And for that, you use an incredibly small amount of yeast.
With pizza, we want this really soft, kind of melt in the mouth kind of chewiness.
It's very, very elastic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know, I can almost see you through it.
You can make it 3 times the size. It's amazing how strong it is.
If you look at this, so this is the gluten here. When you mix it, you develop the gluten,
Yeah.
and then that is what holds the whole thing together. In the same way that we were taught, should we just have a go?
Oh, I'm not experienced at it. We've got one dog underneath here. Anything that drops.
He's ready for anything,
Millie is
yeah.
ready to
He
eat.
looks ready. Well, we're going to take a dough ball each. Neapolitan pizza has quite a sort of raised crust. It's quite characteristic. So what we do is we press, leaving a crust around the outside like that. So next is the theatre bit. Basically, you want to take the pizza dough on your hands like that, and then you just pass it between your hands and keep stretching.
But it really is
And the weight is
very
pulling it
little
down.
effort, and it's done.
That's it.
So we thought we'd do a classic margarita today. So it's the most simple. It's the only pizza that I'll actually recognise in Naples as a pizza. Anything else is not pizza. It's simplicity itself. It's just tomatoes blitzed down with some salt.
These are called San Marzano tomatoes, which are deemed the best tomatoes in the world because they grow in the foothills of Mount Vesuvius and its volcanic soils in the sun. So then the next most important rule with pizza is to put on the ingredients in order of which way they burn. So basil burns very easily, so it needs to sit on the bottom. Quite a lot of basil, a little pinch of Parmesan,
Only that little bit.
just a little pinch.
Now, you see, I think we're being a bit mean with that, but this is the right
Hey.
amount.
You want more Parmesan, you go for it.
Right.
And then last ingredient, this is fior di latte mozzarella, which is a special kind of mozzarella that comes from the Naples region, Campania. And it's a cow's milk mozzarella with a really high moisture and fat content. We just want little pools.
Oh, I like that.
Last thing is just a little drizzle of extra virgin olive oil.
Right,
No.
we're ready for the oven, are we?
You ready? Let's do it. So the oven is really hot. It's about 500 degrees Celsius, and the idea is that you can't cook pizza quick enough. If you want to keep it soft and chewy, you need to get it cooked and get the colour on it and get it out before it goes crispy.
Right.
You take this, you put it down so that the front of the peel is touching like that. It's all about speed. So you're gonna go,
Oh,
Perfect.
in here?
In.
How long are you going to leave it in this at 500 degrees?
It'll be in there for a minute, no more.
What you do is, it's called doming. So now you take that and you just show it up to the flame.
There you go.
That's it.
That's enough.
And that just puts a little bit more colour on the top.
There
That's
we
it.
are.
Look at that. Perfect pizza.
Gosh, it's all melting over the top. It's all crispy brown on the outside. And, of course, the mozzarella is runny in the middle.
Yeah.
And they look so tempting.
So we're going to show you how to eat pizza Naples style. So you take a slice like this, and you fold the corner point into the middle, and then the other corner point into the middle as well.
Like that?
Yeah, and then you just catch the end, like that, and fold it over. And you create what's technically known as a pizza boat.
Straight in.
I've waited for this a long time. That's what I like, the crunch.
Go in there.
Do you know something? It's the best pizza I've ever had.
Oh.
It's quite different. And yet the ingredients themselves are so simple. It's really good. Well worth trying.
I can see it now, look, a pizza oven just there by the pond there. Which... Perfect.
Above dog height, please.
Yeah.
There's nothing quite like authentic Italian pizza. But I'm going to show you how to make a really special version at home, even without that wonderful pizza oven. Just as Tom and James said, a good pizza is all about the dough. And don't be afraid, this is very simple to make.
First of all, I'm going to start with the flour. Strong flour, the sort that you use for bread makes it best. Then I'm going to add the yeast, and this is dried yeast, a teaspoonful. I know the boys use fresh yeast, but they're making mountains of pizza every day. This dried yeast has the advantage that it will keep too.
Always put the yeast on the opposite side of the bowl to the salt. If you add them together, the salt can stop the yeast from doing its job. And my idea for a bit of extra flavour is fresh garlic.
A little unusual to put garlic actually in the dough, but I like it.
Now slowly add around 175 ml of cold water until it forms a dough. A splash of olive oil, then knead it slowly for about 4 minutes. If you're doing it all by hand, it'll take about 10 minutes to get a nice smooth dough.
It's a slightly wet dough, which I like. You get a better rise. And then I'm going to do the last bit of kneading by hand. And it's very manageable and it'll be very easy to shape.
Pop the dough into a greased bowl and let it rise for a couple of hours until it's doubled its size. Once it's risen, knock it back and give it a quick knead before you shape it.
So I've got my non-stick paper here. Here's the dough. And I'm going to be just like James and Tom and not use a rolling pin. Very Italian. I love pizza when it's thin and it's homemade and I know exactly what's gone into it. And this is just perfect. Now, down to business.
Season some passata. Scatter on some delicious caramelised onion. Pile on the Parma ham. And I just love a mild goat's cheese to finish it off.
I really like doing this. It's great fun to do, and it makes a special everyday meal for me. Delicious.
A perfect pizza needs to cook as quickly and evenly as possible.
What I'm trying to recreate is that wonderful hot surface that Tom and James had in their little van.
Slip it onto a hot baking tray and then into an oven as hot as it will go for about 12 minutes.
Well, I'm pretty proud of that. Looks good, doesn't it? Now it needs a little bit of fresh basil. Basil goes so well with tomatoes. A few leaves. Now what it needs is some good olive oil just over the top. Just helps to give it a nice flavour and shine.
Now, who can I get to share a slice of this?
There we are, boys. What you've been waiting for.
Oh, my goodness.
How does that look?
That is a
looks
picture.
Amazing.
It's so nice to eat someone else's pizza for
I
once.
know. That is a nice feeling.
Thank you very much.
That's
I love that mild goat's cheese. It's really nice.
Yes, so
It
delicious.
is, isn't it?
Kind of almost like mozzarella. It's perfect.
It's a good family recipe and great for a crowd.
Everyone loves pizza, that's the thing.
Over 1,000 people have come to the garden today, raising lots of money for our local church.
There were crowds going past the vicarage, heading this way, which is fantastic.
This year we've got 2 lots of teas,
When did we
and
have-
still we've got a
And
queue.
Thankfully, I'm not in charge of all the baking, but I do have a lovely idea you can whip up in no time that makes a simple cheesecake a great centrepiece.
So good, this cheesecake, because there's no cooking, no gelatin, just put all the ingredients together and let it set in the fridge.
First, I've got an easy crumb crust of digestives and melted butter.
That's the base. The coulis ready to go over the top. All I've got to do now is make the actual cheesecake itself.
Take 250 grams of delicious full-fat mascarpone,
If you use low fat, it won't set.
a teaspoonful of vanilla extract, and 300 ml of double cream, and whip them together until beautifully smooth. To make it really special, add 200 grams of molten white chocolate.
I'm very fond of white chocolate and I often use it in recipes. It's very decadent, just like this cheesecake. I love it. Now at this stage, take great care. If you go on beating it for a long time, it could separate. And it's a beautiful, smooth mixture. Very delicious.
Now to create the cheesecake.
Now I'm going to put half the mixture in. I'll tell you why in a moment. I'm going to spread that evenly across the base, like that, right to the edge. Now, I'm going to do something a little secret. So if you take a spoon and you make about 10 incisions and then spoon a bit of the coulis into it. As you come to serve it, you'll get a little streak down it. You want your friends to think you've made a lot of effort.
Complete with the rest of the topping, and it's ready to go into the fridge to chill until firm.
There it is, beautifully set firm. I'm just going to very gently free the press here. Oh, I'm doing it very, very slowly. That's it. And then I'm going to turn that upside down. 1, 2, 3. There's the lovely crust that we made on top like that. A wing and a prayer. Peel that paper off there, and that's perfect.
All that remains is to give it a layer of lovely raspberries.
Just room for one more in there.
And my special finishing touch.
There it is. I think that's a very beautiful pudding. I can't wait to get in there.
Beautiful.
It's wonderful to have a bit of fun with the food you share. So here's a recipe that ticks all the boxes. An exotic mango and passion fruit sorbet you can serve up in style.
This sorbet is really easy to make. You don't need a special machine or anything like that.
Start with a simple sugar syrup made from caster sugar and water, and stir until the sugar has dissolved.
I'm going to leave that to gently bubble away until it's a syrup, a little bit thicker. And then I'm going to dilute it with more water.
I'm using the juice of 6 delicious passion fruit
I love passion fruit.
and 3 limes.
Everyone's got their favourite lemon or lime squeezer. I've had this all my married life, so it must be 50 years old. And I remember seeing it. There used to be something called the Design Centre just off Piccadilly, and it won a Design Centre award, and I've had it ever since.
Then the flesh of 2 large ripe mangoes, which need a quick whiz.
Now I'm going to add the juice from the passion fruit, the lime juice. Just give that a quick whiz, and all we've got to add then is our sugar syrup. Now the sugar syrup is cold. I'm going to put the whole lot in, so in it goes. Give it a whiz, and then it's ready to be frozen. That's made. Wasn't that simple? But it's got to be frozen twice to get a beautiful texture for our sorbet. Doesn't it look an amazing colour? That fills right to the top.
After 6 hours or so, the sorbet has formed. But I'll show you how to make it beautifully smooth and velvety.
So I'm going to cut that into squares. And actually, you can see it's all in lots of crystals, and this will become a smooth sort of froth, and it'll be nice and aerated once we've frozen it again. Push those lumps down, and you'll get a change of noise, and it'll suddenly go zoom, and it'll all be smooth. That's absolutely perfect. It's going through in a lovely light mush. And it's lovely and creamy, but we want it set again. So, back in the freezer to freeze solid, and it's ready to serve.
And that's the secret to a sorbet. This is an easy one to scale up, and a good trick is to double the quantity and freeze it in balls, ready to bring out at the last minute.
This is where the fun begins. I've got to be really, really quick. It's a little bit like building a croque and bouche, and my daughter had one of those for her wedding.
And to top it off, flavours that bring out the best of mango. A sugar syrup made from fresh mint and passion fruit.
And then just a little bit of mint here and there. It's light, it's exotic, it's perfect for a crowd on a lovely summer's day. How about sorbet? Do you enjoy it? I think we've got enough for everyone. I think it's girls first. There we are.
Thank you.
And you must tell us just what you think of it. There we are.
Thank you. It's really nice.
Next time, how to turn the everyday into something truly indulgent.
It's sheer heaven on a plate. I think it's my most favourite hot pudding.